Heartwarming moment, billionaire discovers incredible 3-year bond between his disabled daughter and community. Howard stepped off the plane, leaving behind the clamor of Manhattan, the sirens, the rush of people all consumed in the race for success. He was not the same man who once walked these streets of suburban Ohio, belching with dreams of empires and gold. Now, he was a mere shadow tethered to his wealth, grappling with a crumbling business and an echoing silence from a missed childhood. He stood on the familiar sidewalk, where the laughter of children burst like popping firecrackers. The air was rich with the smoky scent of barbecues, and the joy of community surrounded him. Howard felt an anxiety seep through him. This was the life he left behind, the bonds he severed, manifesting in the radiant smiles of kids running through sprinklers. As he made his way down the block, his heart tightened. Some wore wary expressions, others offered nods, a mixture of acknowledgement and hesitation swirling in the air. Here, where his mother, Ruth, had lovingly taken care of Lily, he faced not just a crowd but the ghosts of old memories, a reminder of the little girl he'd abandoned. One sunny afternoon, armed with an assortment of paintbrushes and vivid colors, Howard wandered into the local community center. There, in the middle of laughter, he spotted Lily. With her beaming smile, she painted vibrant strokes, a palette of colors reflecting the world through her eyes. She turned and giggled, the sound like music, pulling at a long-ignored string in his heart. She was filling in the blank spaces of his life with joy and imagination. "Daddy! Look!" she called, her little arm flailing with paint-covered fingers, an invitation he had spent years pushing away. The other kids swarmed around, showing off their works with pride. To them, she was just one of them, full of life and laughter, but to Howard? She was a reminder of everything he hadn't been. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. His mind raced as the local news began to celebrate their efforts, showcasing the fundraising drive for disabled children like Lily. But as the community gathered, Howard sensed the growing divide between him and his old friends. Some whispered doubts about his intentions, fearing his wealth would suffocate their tight-knit lifestyle. As he prepared to step up for the fundraising event, an icy knot lodged in his chest. He needed to prove his love for Lily, to let the community know he wasn't there to erase their efforts, but to amplify them. Standing in front of a crowd who eyed him with skepticism and hope, he felt the weight of their glares, some supportive, others doubtful. This was the moment he had been waiting for, the moment to reclaim not just his daughter, but himself. What would he say? Would he be the spark they needed or a storm that would tear them apart forever? With Lily's innocent eyes brightening his path, he swallowed hard, ready to write a new chapter in both their lives. Would he find the words to unite or divide? The crowd held its breath, waiting for Howard's answer, a mix of hope and fear hanging in the air like the promise of rain. Howard took a deep breath, his heart pounding in his chest. The whispers around him faded away as he focused on the vibrant colors swirling in Lily's artwork, the potential for joy and change embedded in every stroke. It wasn't just her painting, it was a glimpse of the future he yearned to create with her, a future filled with acceptance and love. He stepped forward, hands clasped tightly together, feeling the weight of the moment. "Hello, everyone," he began, his voice a little shaky but growing stronger with each word. "I know many of you have your doubts about me. I left, and I can't change that. But I'm here now and I want to make things right." A few murmurs broke through the crowd. Some crossed their arms tightly, while others leaned in, intrigued. Howard knew he had to dig deeper, to show them he understood their lives and the reality Lily had faced. "I see how you all care for Lily. I see the bond you formed, how you filled her days with laughter and love while I was away chasing shadows. And I've realized that wealth means nothing if it doesn't serve a purpose, if it doesn't help those we care about. He searched for Lily in the crowd, her bright eyes sparkling like stars, holding him in place. I want to help us create a space where kids like Lily can thrive. I want to support your efforts, build more resources together. It's not about me, it's about all of us. A low murmur rippled through the crowd, a mixture of surprise and raw emotion. Howard glanced at familiar faces, remembering the friendships he'd let slip away. He could see the warmth creeping back into their expressions, even if slight. Could this be the bridge he was looking for? Let us raise funds for more classes, more therapy sessions, more opportunities. I want to hold community events, not just ones that feature Lily, but every child here who needs support. I want my daughter to know this community, to know her worth, and I want you to know mine. The tension in the air shifted as children began to clap, their small hands eager and innocent. Lily jumped up and down, excitement radiating from her like sunshine, and before long, the adults around her began to join in, their claps hesitant but growing stronger. Howard felt tears prick at the corners of his eyes. This is what he had wanted, a chance to belong again. He was ready to stand alongside them, not as the wealthy outsider but as a father willing to fight for his daughter and her friends, but then he noticed some faces still uncertain, yes, even angry. He sensed a warning that this wasn't just a moment of impact, it was going to take time to heal all wounds, especially those his absence had opened. Could he truly earn their trust again? As the applause faded, Howard knew he had the community's attention, but transformation wouldn't come easy. Could they all walk this path together? Would they find common ground in their shared love for these children they held dear? As he stepped down from where he had been speaking, a little boy approached him, shyness woven through his small features. "Mister, do you really want to help all of us?" The question rang in Howard's heart. Before he could answer, a larger figure stepped up beside the boy, glaring. "What do you plan to do, Howard? Just throw money at us?" The challenge in his voice hung heavy in the air. Howard felt the last vestiges of hope waver. Could he handle this scrutiny? Would he stand firm against the doubt still nagging in the community? His resolve steeled, he looked back at the crowd, determination flowing through him like a river. "Let us find out together," he replied, feeling the weight of the moment. The future awaited, but the road ahead was fraught with uncertainty. Would Howard be able to navigate the challenges he faced and prove to the people he had let down that his intentions were genuine? With the eyes of the town upon him, he could feel the pulse of possibility, mingled with the fear of impending judgment. What awaited him as he took these steps toward rebuilding a bridge to his daughter and this once familiar community? Howard took a moment, searching the crowd for a familiar face amidst the sea of expressions. He felt a knot tightening in his stomach. The figure beside the boy, a tall man with scruffy hair and arms crossed defiantly, was an undeniable wall. A line had been drawn, and Howard could feel its weight. "I came back not just with money," he replied, trying to keep his voice steady. "I came back with an understanding. I want to listen, to learn what you all have done, to see how I can genuinely contribute." The man regarded him skeptically, and Howard couldn't blame him. He glanced down at the little boy, whose wide eyes were brimming with curiosity and hope. "You'll see," Howard added, kneeling to meet the boy's gaze. "Together, we can make a real difference. I want to invest not just in dollars but in trust." The boy looked to the tall man, who hesitated, wrestling with his own uncertainty. A few other parents edged closer, drawn by the commotion. The tension in the air was electric, both charged and fragile. "What do you know about our lives?" a woman shouted from the back of the crowd. "What makes you think you can just step back in after all this time?" Howard straightened, feeling the pressure mounting. "I know that every one of you has a story," he started, trying to keep his voice even. "I know there are sacrifices made, every day. I know, simply based on what you did for Lily, what kind of love and strength this community holds. I want to hear those stories. I need to understand where the support is needed." A woman at the front, a mother with tired eyes that sparkled with determination, stepped closer. That's a nice sentiment, but we've heard words before. Actions speak louder. Show us you mean it. Howard felt a rush of heat flood his cheeks. I swear, I won't just throw money at the problem. I want us to work together, share ideas, and build something lasting. Let us start with a community event, a festival or fair, where families can come together. I'll make sure it's funded. We can gather resources, find sponsors, showcase your kids' talents. Just give me that chance. A few nods followed, mixed with furrowed brows, but it was something. The tall man beside the boy finally spoke, his voice softer now. And what if it just turns out to be another failure? Then I'll make it right, Howard replied, feeling the truth of his words sink deep. I'm not looking for another gilded project. I want to forge a path alongside you, learn from you. So please, give me a chance to show you. As silence swept across the crowd, Howard braced himself for the response. Each heart there held a story, a struggle, complexities he couldn't yet know but was desperate to understand. He felt the eyes of his daughter, shining not just with hope, but with the trust he was fighting to earn back. Then, like a fresh gust of wind, a small voice broke the stillness. Can I help, mister? The boy stepped forward again, enthusiasm bubbling over. I can help with ideas. I think the fair should have games. A ripple of laughter spread through the crowd, and the heaviness lifted just slightly. It was a glimmer small, but it was there. Howard exchanged looks with the boy's father, who now bore a hint of a smile. All right then, let us talk ideas, Howard encouraged. The shift in energy was palpable, like the first signs of spring after a long winter. As parents began chatting animatedly, a few ideas flying about, Howard's heart swelled. He caught Lily's gaze, and her smile warmed him from the inside. Maybe, just maybe, this would be the start of something beautiful. But that familiar doubt crept back in. Was it enough? Would this moment carry the weight necessary to heal the past? The spark of possibility flickered, and he stood ready, heart racing at the thought of what lay ahead. Would he truly be able to prove to a community that had suffered in his absence that he could be one of them? And just as the crowd began to buzz with life, his phone buzzed in his pocket. Glancing down, dread flooded through him, a text from his partner back in the city about future business dealings. Howard's heart sank. Would he be pulled back into the shadows just as he was stepping into the light? Howard felt the pull of the text in his hand, its weight more oppressive than the voices around him. He pocketed the phone, forcing a smile as he turned back to the cluster of parents, each conversation blossoming with excitement. All right. Let us brainstorm, he said, trying to muster enthusiasm. The boy, full of energy, bounced next to him. His eagerness was contagious. Games, right? What else should we include? We could have a bake sale. A woman chimed in. The best pies, cookies, you can't beat homemade treats. Don't forget the talent shows. Shouted another person. The kids could perform songs, maybe dance. Howard was amazed by how quickly ideas sprouted. He could see a vision forming, the kind of community fair that would draw people in and allow them to showcase their joys, hobbies, talents. Yet, amidst this budding hope, the tightening in his chest returned. Was this real? Could he actually pull this off? Lily squeezed his hand silently, grounding him. Her presence was a balm against doubt. Watching her mingle, engage with the other kids, he couldn't help but wonder what this fair would mean for her. Would it be a place where she could shine, too? Can we do face painting? The boy beside him asked, his eyes wide with hope. Absolutely. I'll be your first customer. Howard chuckled, thrilled by the enthusiasm. The conversation flowed freely now, energy crackling like static electricity. The parents were coming together, plans taking shape. For each idea introduced, Howard felt a flicker of faith igniting within him. They were connecting both as a community and as individuals, but just as the excitement hit a crescendo, another buzz in his pocket pulled him back. Against his better judgment, he glanced down again. This time the message read, "Howard, we need your decision on the investments ASAP. The deadline is closing fast." He fought a wave of frustration. This was the crux of his dilemma. The promise of a better future here pulled one way, while the relentless demands of his city life pulled the other. "Howard." The tall man called, breaking his thoughts. "I appreciate your enthusiasm, but how can we trust you'll see this through?" Because he hesitated, searching for the right words. "Because I want to be here for you all. Not just for this fair, but for what comes after. We have to face whatever happens, together." The group quieted, considering his words. For a flicker of a moment, it felt as if barriers were coming down. The weight between Howard and the community shifted. Engagement matters. You for me, and me for you. "I need this chance to prove myself to Lily and to you," he said firmly. Then he spotted the boy, who had started a new chain of ideas with a group of children nearby. Their laughter echoed, a sweet symphony amidst the heavy emotional weight. As the crowd continued buzzing, Howard felt the tenderness of hope bloom against the rough edges of uncertainty. This was going to take everything he had to offer, not just money, but heart. He knew he needed to choose soon. "Can we do this?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper, but loud enough for those nearby to hear. And just then, another buzz from his phone snapped at him, this time more insistent. Should he answer, slip back to a world that wanted him, or stay here and fight for a community that needed his spirit? He looked around at the hopeful faces, glancing once more at Lily, who had turned her focus back to the safety of their budding alliance. With courage boiling in his throat and uncertainty looming ahead, he steeled himself for the response that could change everything. "Can I make this work?" he wondered, knowing that an answer was lurking just beyond reach. Howard could feel the pulse in his chest quicken. It wasn't just the weight of the text demanding his attention, it was the realization that everything was at stake. The fair, this community, and most importantly, his connection with Lily. Would choosing this path shape not just his future, but hers as well? He took a steadying breath. "All right, let us do this," he said, his voice louder and steadier than before. The room seemed to hold its breath, unsure whether he would retreat back to his old life or step boldly into this new chapter. "Let's set a date for the fair," he continued, eyes scanning the eager faces. "Wow, really?" said the tall man, a hint of disbelief in his tone. Howard nodded, letting the warmth of not just hope but a tangible plan sink into the atmosphere. "We can kick off with a community meeting next week." Lily beamed at him, her smile radiant as the sun breaking through clouds. That flicker of joy reignited his own hopes in that moment. He felt tethered to this place and its people. "And you know what? We'll make it a blast. I'll bring my ukulele for the talent show. Let us get the kids to sing and dance. You won't even recognize me when I'm done." The laughter that bubbled up around him felt like music, the kind that soothed the aching doubt still lingering at the back of his mind. He felt another buzz in his pocket, but he ignored it, determined to focus on this moment. As the conversation unfolded, Howard could see glimpses of what his life could be. Not just a father to Lily, but a figure in this community with roots growing deeper. They exchanged ideas, laughter, and even tackled the task of organizing shifts for volunteers. The initial feeling of isolation slowly lifted, replaced by a sense of belonging, but somewhere behind him, his phone buzzed again, a sharp reminder of his old responsibilities. He internally wrestled with the tension building inside him. Could he really walk away from everything? The life he had known? The echo of his past choices whispered in his ears, mixed with the inviting laughter of today. "Are you all right, Howard?" Lily's voice brought him back to the moment. Her wide eyes searched his, filled with innocence and trust. "You're not thinking about your work, are you?" "No, not at all." "No," he couldn't disappoint her. "Not now. I'm just excited about all this." He put on a smile that felt a bit strained but genuine under the circumstances. "Good," she exclaimed, bouncing on the balls of her feet. "I want to help. Can I make the signs for the bake sale?" "Of course." Howard laughed, his heart swelling. "You'll be our top sign maker." As the plan solidified, Howard watched as parents joined forces, brainstorming how to turn this dream into reality. They spoke of love, laughter, and community, a tapestry of dreams woven tightly together. But just then, the moment fell silent. The tall man cleared his throat, and everyone turned to him. "Howard, we need a leader, someone who can see this through. Are you that person?" The question hung heavily in the air, the buzz from his phone instantly forgotten. Could he be that leader? Could he truly turn this moment into a vibrant reality for Lily, for the community? Sweat beaded on his brow as he faced the whole group. "Yes," he managed to say, his voice stronger than he felt inside. "I will lead this fair. But I need your help. We need each other." The warmth returned, the people around him nodding in agreement, the children's laughter buoying the determined flicker of hope in his heart. But as he looked at them, at Lily, at the connections forming, I felt that same wave of doubt crash again. What awaited him outside this bubble of unity? Can this really work? He asked himself, knowing deep inside that the decision he had just made was only the beginning. And so, with the fair now taking shape, Howard understood he had to confront not just the challenges ahead but the life he used to live. What echoes of his past would follow him into this new journey? The question lingered, rippling through his mind as he took in the beaming faces before him. The next day arrived with an air of excitement and a hint of nervous energy. Howard woke early, anticipation buzzing through him like a live wire. The sun streamed in through the window, illuminating the room and casting a warm glow that signaled a fresh start. He remembered the faces from last night's meeting, their hopes, their laughter, and Lily's shining smile, and felt a rush of determination that he made breakfast for Lily, humming softly as he cooked. Just the two of them, sitting around their tiny kitchen table, felt wonderfully normal. "Dad, when are we going to let everyone know about the fair?" Lily asked between bites of pancakes, her cheeks stuffed like a chipmunk. "Soon," he replied, "I want to finalize some details first. But I promise you, it'll be soon." He felt a surge of pride watching her bounce around the table. That joy was contagious. The weight of his past felt lighter today, overshadowed by hope for a better future. Later that afternoon, as he headed into town to visit the community center, Howard's phone buzzed in his pocket again. This time, he took a moment to see who it was. It was a text from his boss. "We need to talk about our next project." Just seeing those words sent a chill down his spine. He hesitated, staring at the screen. There was a time when this kind of message would have sent his heart racing with adrenaline, the thrill of climbing the corporate ladder, success on the horizon. But now, the thought of returning to that life made him feel suffocated. He shoved the phone back into his pocket without replying and forced himself to focus on the road ahead. At the community center, the others were already hard at work. Tables were being set up, chairs arranged, and there was a palpable energy in the air. Howard felt a surge of gratitude for the support surrounding him. They had all come together, united by a common dream. As he stepped into the space, the chatter faded, and people turned to greet him with welcoming smiles. "Hey, Howard. We were just about to discuss the layout for the event," said a woman with curly hair and a clipboard in her hands. "Perfect," he replied, no longer hesitant. As they dove into the details, ideas flew back and forth. They discussed games, food vendors, and how to attract visitors. Laughter bubbled over, mingling with enthusiasm for the fair's potential. For the first time in years, Howard felt he could truly contribute, celebrated not as a businessman but as a person. But beneath the thrill of creation lurked self-doubt, nagging at him like a shadow. His phone buzzed again. He ignored it, but the anxiety crept back. What if this all fell apart? What if he couldn't deliver? Just then, Lily entered the community center, her hair bouncing as she waved a brightly colored piece of paper. "Look! I made the sign for the bake sale. What do you think?" It was bright and cheerful, filled with glitter and swirls of color. His heart swelled. "It's amazing, Lily. You captured the spirit of the fair perfectly." She beamed at him, and in that moment, all his doubts faded away. He realized that this was about more than just the fair, it was about creating memories, bonds, and connections. After the meeting, as they walked home together hand in hand, Howard felt a deep sense of purpose. "Lily," he said softly, "do you think we can really do this?" "Of course, Dad. It's going to be the best fair ever," she replied, her conviction wrapping around his heart like a warm blanket. Yet, as they neared their house, the nagging buzz from his phone returned, and a knot tightened in his stomach. He hadn't answered his boss. What would happen when they found out he was stepping back? His head swirled with uncertainty, but what choice would he make for Lily and this community? Would he finally break free from the shackles of expectation and embrace a life full of warmth, love, and happiness? As he approached their home, he realized the answer would change everything and time was running out to decide. The following morning dawned bright and clear, the soft rays of sunlight spilling into Howard's kitchen, filling it with light. The aroma of fresh coffee mingled with the scent of pancakes as he flipped a second batch on the griddle. Lily danced around the room, practicing her delighted squeals and excited declarations about the fair. "Can we have cotton candy?" she chirped, her eyes alight with dreams. "Of course. And we'll have a whole area for games. You'll be in charge of the bake sale." Howard grinned, savoring these moments of unfiltered joy. He cherished Lily's enthusiasm, seeing his own hopes reflected in her innocent laughter. After breakfast, they headed back to the community center. As they walked, Howard's mind flicked back to the text from his boss, the weight of it pressing down on him. He tried to shove the worry aside, focusing on Lily instead. The way her eyes lit up at the thought of their upcoming fair felt electric, and he was determined to keep that spark alive. Inside the community center, the energy was as vibrant as he remembered. Volunteers buzzed around, all hands tackling the mission to pull off an amazing event. "Howard!" A familiar face called out, and he turned to see Sam, the town's mayor, carrying boxes of supplies. "Glad you're here. We could use your expertise with planning," Sam said, handing him a clipboard filled with notes and charts. Howard took it, feeling a mix of pride and purpose swell within him. "Let us make this fair unforgettable," he replied, the words bubbling out with newfound confidence. Together, they mapped out the space, laughter weaving through their discussions. But as the day went on, Howard felt the familiar pressure of the unanswered text from work creeping back in. Every time his phone buzzed, his breath caught, but he refused to look at it. He couldn't afford to let the corporate world eat away at this precious moment. After a few hours of planning, Lily came bouncing back in, holding a tray piled high with cookies she had decorated with her friends. "Dad! Look at these. They're so colorful," she announced, her smile infectious. "They're beautiful, sweetie. You're going to draw a crowd for sure with these," he said, ruffling her hair. She squealed, spinning in circles, and Howard chuckled softly, his heart swelling with love. This was why he was doing all of this, to protect her joy, but the buzz from his phone was insistent. When he finally glanced at it, his heart plummeted. There it was, a message from his boss, a demand for answers. "When will you be back? Need to discuss your performance." Panic surged through him. What if they don't understand? He muttered under his breath, glancing down at Lily, who had pulled some volunteers into an impromptu cookie taste test. "Dad, these are the best cookies ever!" Lily exclaimed, her laughter like music. It made his chest ache with longing for a life without the constant pull of expectations. He took a deep breath, fighting against the emotions swirling inside. "Lily," he said, kneeling down to her level, "this fair, it means everything to me, to us. But I need to make a choice. Do you think I should go back? She looked at him, her eyes serious. But why would you leave us? We can do it together. We are a team. Her simple words hit like a wave. The thought of walking away from this community and his daughter for a life that felt wrong was unbearable. Just then, as the room buzzed with laughter and joy, Howard's phone buzzed again. He knew he had to make a decision soon. Could he truly step back from everything he had built, for a chance to embrace what truly mattered? The air was thick with uncertainty as he faced Lily. He needed clarity. But would he find the courage to follow his heart, or would he let the past reclaim him, leaving behind the spark of hope they had created together? As the community rallied around them, laughter echoed through his mind, leaving him with one burning question: could he stand firm in his choice to risk it all for love? The vibrant sounds of laughter and chatter enveloped them, wrapping around Howard like a warm embrace. He watched Lily, small and full of life, flitting from one volunteer to another, her apron a little too big but her enthusiasm on full display. It was infectious. The chaos felt less like a burden and more like a symphony, one that resonated with hope. "Howard. We're short on volunteers for the dunk tank," Sam called out, rushing past him with a box of prizes, the excitement palpable. "Right. I'll help." A part of him wanted to dive in, to lose himself in the work and drown out the buzz of his phone. He moved toward the area where laughter transformed into squeals as someone took a plunge into the water. But the moment he reached out to grab a sponge, his phone vibrated forcefully again, a stark reminder of the world waiting outside this community bubble. He hesitated, glancing back down at Lily, who was now weaving between people, hands flailing as she tried to demonstrate her cookie-selling pitch. The sight pulled at his heart. She was everything innocent, precious, and utterly unaware of the storm brewing beyond this joyous sanctuary. He caught a glimpse of Lily approaching a group of kids. "Hey, everyone. My cookies are the best. Come buy some," she called out, her voice ringing like a bell. They giggled and rushed toward her, intrigued by her unabashed enthusiasm. Suddenly, a wave of guilt washed over him. How could he introduce any form of negativity to this space? What if I just ignore it? He thought, shaking his head to clear away the anxious thoughts. Maybe, just for today, he could forget the stress, the working world slipping away. But deep down, he felt the weight of responsibility dragging at him. "Lily, hold on," he called, interrupting her sales pitch. She turned, her face brightening at his voice. "Have you thought about how you want to decorate the booth?" Her brow furrowed in thought. "Can we use ribbons? And balloons?" "Absolutely." He smiled, the idea igniting a spark of joy in both of them. "Let us make it a colorful display. I'll grab some supplies." As he dashed off to gather supplies, he felt lighter, but something gnawed at him. The looming message about his performance review accompanied him, whispering insidiously in the back of his mind. He couldn't shake the fear of failure, the haunting sense that he might have to return to that life, to the gray cubicles and unfeeling chatter, but in this moment, surrounded by laughter and the mingling scents of cookies and popcorn, could he truly let that world take him? Howard returned to see Lily tying ribbon around a stack of boxes with the help of another volunteer. Her joy poured into the space like sunlight. She looked up, her eyes sparkling with anticipation. "Look, Dad. Isn't this perfect?" His chest tight with emotion, he nodded. "It's incredible, sweetheart." In that moment, he made a choice. Maybe the fair wasn't just an event to him, it was a declaration of love, a testament to a new way of living. He could support Lily and forge new paths together. But what of the text he had ignored? What would happen when they found out he was still away? The tension lurked at the corners of his exhilaration, a reminder that every choice comes with its footnotes. Later that evening, the sun lowered in the sky and warmth faded, he received one final message from his boss. "Need to see you ASAP." The emotions churned in his stomach, the reminder of reality pulling hard at his heartstrings. He glanced at Lily, who was already losing herself in laughter, talking to other kids about the day ahead. "Dad, this is going to be the best fair ever," she declared, looking up at him with unmatched hope. But as he felt the weight of her gaze, new worries whispered in the back of his mind. Could he face the music of his corporate life without losing his chance to breathe life into the promise he had made to himself and Lily? As darkness enveloped the community center, he stood at a crossroads, heart racing. Could this fair truly be the pivot point he desperately needed? Would he choose to confront his fears, or would he slip back, refusing to let go? Only time would tell, but one thing was certain: the journey was just beginning. The air carried a hint of popcorn and fresh-cut grass as Howard scanned the lively scene in front of him. Lanterns were strung like stars between trees, glowing softly as children darted around, their laughter harmonizing with the warm evening breeze. Yet, amidst this joyful chaos, a storm of anxiety brewed within him. The text from his boss loomed large in his mind, a cloud over the radiant tableau of the fair. "Hey, Dad." Lily's voice burst through his fog of worry. She approached him with hands full of colorful ribbons and a huge grin plastered across her face. "Look at these. We can put them everywhere." Howard felt a flicker of warmth against the chilly backdrop of his stress. "Those are amazing, Lily. We should definitely make our booth the brightest. Like how you said the sunshine comes from us." She tilted her head, her eyes sparkling with innocence. "Yes. Just like that," Howard replied, crouching down to her level. He wrapped an arm around her shoulder and drew her close. "But if you get a message from work, we can't make it bright, right?" she asked, her brow furrowing slightly as if sensing the dark shadow he tried to hide. Howard hesitated, his heart sinking. "It's not about that. Let us focus on our booth." He forced a smile, yet the nagging worry clawed at him. Was he being fair to her while carrying this burden? As the sun dipped lower, the festival came alive with even more energy. His phone buzzed again, and he could feel the panic taking root, yet there was something else. Some instinct in him wanted to keep this joyous moment unchecked. Instead of retreating into his phone, he joined Lily, helping her tie ribbons around their booth. As the colors danced in the twinkling lights, he couldn't help but feel a strange peace settling over him. Maybe this was indeed a pivot, a moment to remind himself that life is made up of fleeting days like this one, moments filled with laughter and connection. "Dad, look at the cookie line." Lily was practically bouncing on her toes, her excitement radiating like waves. "We're doing so well." The sight of the line growing wrapped around their booth felt exhilarating. For a moment, he let his worries slip away. This was the kind of success he wanted to celebrate, not the kind dictated by a heartless office, but the dark truth tugged at his mind. What if the world at work crashed in on this reality he wanted so desperately to embrace? What if this fair was just a joyous interlude before reality reasserted itself with a hard kick? Suddenly, Howard spotted Sam in the distance, his friend and a fellow volunteer, waving frantically. "Howard! Come quick, you won't believe it." "What now?" Howard asked, half puzzled, half intrigued. "There's a guy from the local news here. He wants to do a story on the fair and all the community engagement." Sam exclaimed, breathless with excitement. "A story?" Howard felt the familiar clench of anxiety loosen ever so slightly. Maybe that could be something good. Yeah. With all the people here, it could really show how important this fair is for the kids. Sam added eagerly. Lily jumped, her eyes gleaming. "Can I go talk to him? Maybe he can help sell more cookies." Howard chuckled, wow, a businesswoman already. As he watched her skip toward Sam, he felt that flicker of hope ignite again. If this fair could shine in the public eye and bring more people together, maybe it would help spark a change not just in their lives, but in the community's spirit. Yet, even as joy washed through him, the still looming phone buzz at the back of his mind threatened to shatter his bubble of bliss. Could he allow himself to dream of a different life where moments like this could be the norm? His heart raced as he pondered this as Lily came racing back, eyes wide with excitement. "Did you hear? They want to do features on the cookies too. But Dad, if the guy asks about you, what will you say?" The smile faltered on his face as a wave of uncertainty crashed over him. The tiny universe they had crafted tonight was beginning to feel fragile. Well, let us just enjoy the moment first," Howard said. Swallowing hard, knowing the inevitable conversation loomed ahead. As he caught her joyful bounce in the flickering lights, he felt something beginning to shift inside him. Was it truly possible to carve out a new path that honored both his family and his responsibilities? In that moment, with Lily reaching out for his hand, all he could do was nod, knowing that the real answers were just starting to unfold before them. And as the night took hold, he whispered to himself, what if this fair lights the way for so much more? The clouds of anxiety began to fade as night deepened, replaced with the merry sounds of children playing and laughter echoing harmoniously across the fairgrounds. Howard watched as Lily darted from group to group, her joy uncontained, like a firefly flitting through the warm summer dusk. This was her moment, and he was grateful to be by her side. As they prepared for the news segment, Howard felt the pulse of uncertainty drum in his ears. But he was determined to focus on the joy radiating from the vibrant community around them. He took a deep breath and clasped his hands, feeling the warmth of hope flickering in his chest. When the reporter arrived, bright lights illuminating her, Howard stood inches away from Lily, her tiny hand clasped tightly in his. She was buzzing with excitement, and he couldn't help but smile. Her bubbling enthusiasm was contagious. "All right, everyone," the reporter announced, her voice dancing over the backdrop of the fair. "Tonight, we're capturing a beautiful story of community, love, and resilience." As cameras clicked and flashed, Howard found himself smiling broadly. It felt surreal. This was what he had longed for, a chance to highlight Lily and show how the community came together for their children. "Tell me about your cookies." The reporter beamed at Lily, her eyes shining brightly. Lily took a spirited step forward. "We made the best cookies ever. Dad helped." She cheered, waving her hands in excitement. "And we have ribbons, and games, and everyone is here to have fun. It's all about family and friends." That innocence washed over Howard like a wave, pulling him into her joy. He felt the knot in his stomach unwind. Yes, this was about family and friends. He spoke passionately about the fair, about the effort that went into bringing the community together. He emphasized their goal to create pathways for disabled children, like his beloved Lily, to thrive and feel celebrated within the community. "This isn't just about me," he said, fixing his gaze firmly into the camera. "It's about every child, every family here, and how we can support them to shine brighter." People gathered around, faces lighting up as they rallied behind their children, their bond palpable. Mixed emotions surged through him, a blend of pride and gratitude. The moment propelled him forward. After the interview wrapped up, applause erupted. Howard found solace in their acceptance, the skepticism washing away. But then, his phone buzzed again, a reminder of the life he had momentarily left behind. He hesitated but forced himself to silence the thoughts creeping back in. "Dad, you were really good." Lily tugged at his hand, her eyes wide with admiration. "Thanks, Squirt. But you were the star." He ruffled her hair, their connection shimmering in every shared laughter. A deep breath grounded him. The night unfurled beautifully, games were played, cookies devoured, music flowed. Children danced under the twinkling lights, while parents mingled, sharing stories, hopes, and laughter. Howard caught sight of the mayor and several community leaders, all beaming, some emerging from their initial skepticism, growing increasingly engaged. But amid this free-flowing joy, the reality of his choices still lingered. Who would he call in the morning? Would he risk it all for a chance at a life filled with purpose? Suddenly, a realization hit him. He had a decision to make, and only he could steer the course of his life. Lily's laughter rang out and pulled him back. She was in the middle of a dance-off with other kids, her spirit a beacon of light in the darkening sky. With every twirl she made, she pulled him into her world of unfiltered joy. He dove into the fun, dancing alongside them, forgetting the world beyond the fairgrounds. Laughter erupted as they twirled, their joy infectious. He believed in their community. This beautiful tapestry of dreams, not dictated by wealth but by love, was forming tightly around him. As the evening crept closer to a close, Howard watched the camaraderie and connection buzzing like electricity. Life breathed anew in this community, and he felt it course through his veins, turning his heart, which had once been filled with doubt, into a treasure chest full of possibilities. "Dad!" Lily called out, tugging on his sleeve, "Can we do this every week?" He chuckled, knowing the magic of a moment in the depths of those words lay his answer. "Every week, if we can." He knelt before her, locking eyes with a bright grin. "Together. You and me." And just like that, his life began to pivot. The internal battles he had waged faded away, leaving room for promise and connection. He understood now, the darkness of his past would not dictate his future. He could embrace this warm, friendly light. As the last star winked above the fair, Howard raised a toast with laughter, surrounded by community, family, and the sweet glow of hope swirling around them. They were in it together. And with the burgeoning bonds he was forging, he felt a new chapter begin, one filled with love, laughter, and endless possibilities. He turned toward the horizon ahead, brimming with optimism. This was just the beginning. Now is the time to join our journey. You need to subscribe now for more exclusive stories. Hit that like button to show your support. Each click makes a difference. Comment below how this ending made you feel. We want to hear your thoughts. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Spread the love, and let us grow this incredible community together.